So, Blackwood's been out for a little while now, and let me tell you, this new ESO chapter has really added a bunch of new gameplay options, like taking your companion into a dungeon and then having it lose all of its gear when you exit it.
Boy!
Or watching your companion get dookied on by some pretty tame world boss mechanics. Or camping a node in Shadowfen for 5 hours to try to get that lead for the best in slot pay-to-win mythic kills for the next time you and your raid team decide to go wipe in a trial for 2 hours. Or fishing. Fishing for yet another antiquity lead, my absolute favorite thing to do in this game. If you want a break from all of this riveting gameplay, then may I suggest something equally riveting: farming for furnishing plans. Okay, listen, I know it's about as exciting as the other options, but farming for the new Blackwood furnishing plans can be a profitable endeavor. Allow me to show you a handful of places where you can farm these plans for profit or for fun. Alright, before I show you guys some pretty dope locations for farming furnishing plans in Blackwood, we should quickly speedrun through some essential information. I want to make sure you guys are farming for these plans as efficiently as possible so that you can get back to farming nodes in Shadowfen. For a more extensive guide on farming furnishing plans, feel free to check out my video on the matter. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And if you already know about all of this stuff, feel free to skip ahead in the video. I will have timestamps in the description as well. You can find furnishing plans from looting containers, and in some locations and cases from stealing them from NPCs. Furnishing plans, like many other items in the game, have cooldowns. These cooldowns are color specific, meaning if you loot a blue furnishing plan from a container, your character will be placed on a short cooldown for blue furnishing plans, and you will not be able to see another blue furnishing plan from a container on that same character for some time. The community postulates that this cooldown lasts around 15 minutes. However, looting a blue furnishing plan will not put you on a cooldown for purple furnishing plans, so you can still have a chance at looting one of those in that 15-minute time frame. These cooldowns are not account-wide, but rather character-specific. Given this information, what a lot of people like to do, instead of farming a place aimlessly while on a cooldown for blue and purple furnishing plans, is park all of their tunes in a furnishing plan farming area and run laps around the area on each tune. Once a character finds a blue or purple furnishing plan, people will then swap to their next character and continue farming, free of any burden that a cooldown could impose. By the time they finish running through a location on all of their characters, their first character will likely no longer be on a cooldown for these more rare furnishing plans. So they can rinse and repeat this whole entire process. You may want to consider implementing this strategy when farming plans in these locations yourself. Plenty of people on my Discord server did just this and found themselves making hundreds of thousands and even millions of gold farming the new furnishing plans to sell while the hype for them was at their peak. It is also important to note that while there is a chance that you may receive a furnishing plan from stealing and from searching containers, your chances at finding furnishing plans are greater if you're able to search something rather than steal from it. This means that finding places where you can search containers is ideal when it comes to establishing a furnishing plan farming route. If you go through a load screen, you can repopulate the containers in any area. So if you're farming a place with one of your characters and find nothing but some lockpicks, some white meat, and your crushed hopes and dreams inside these barren wardrobes and nightstands, you can simply port out to a different location and then return to your farming spot. You will find that the containers should no longer be empty, and you can go ahead and try your luck at looting them once again. Lastly, I should issue a disclaimer. There are really not a lot of great places to farm plans in Blackwood. I think we've all gotten spoiled from the past year of content, what with all of the Dwarven and Dwemer ruins to explore and loot. Even the 2 previous years have blessed us with plenty of delves and buildings with vast quantities of lootable urns and containers. In Blackwood, however, furnishing plan farming locations are quite few and far between. As I journeyed across the rolling hills of Blackwood, I found myself stumbling upon quite a few homes with boarded up doors that I couldn't enter. I wandered into areas that looked like they could contain a lot of lootable containers, but unfortunately, this was hardly ever the case. I stumbled upon an Argonian delve with heaps of urns, but upon being looted, they only provided me with provisioning ingredients as opposed to the kind of loot that we've come to expect from urns in the past. I even found an estate that was filled with the same kinds of containers that I've seen in the farming locations that I'll be showcasing in this video, only they weren't lootable for whatever reason. I wasn't able to search them. So trust me, I've done my fair share of searching for places to farm furnishing plans in Blackwood, and I believe that these are the best locations. If you found any other nice spots to farm for plans, it would be awesome if you let us know about them in the comments section. But I can respect your choice not to if you want to keep your farming spot a secret. Alrighty, let's get into it. I'd like to give full credit to Manabu for being the first to discover this location and share it with the rest of our Discord server. Counselor Jarek's manor can only be accessed while in the middle of the first quest of the Blackwood main questline, A Deadly Secret. While progressing through this quest, you'll eventually find yourself in Jarek's manor, where you're prompted to speak with Aveli.
Hey, over here!
Shut the fuck up!
Instead of doing so and continuing your progression in the quest, you can just search and loot all of the containers in Jarek's home. Of course, your main character, or whomever you prefer to quest with, will inevitably advance past this point in the quest and no longer have access to the manor, but you can park all of your alternate tunes in this area for some pretty efficient farming. Run a lap around this place, and if you don't find any plans and aren't placed on any cooldowns, run through it again. Just make sure you port to a friend or guildmate and then port right back to Leowin to reset all of the containers. I know that this specific location has been a favorite among the members of my community. The only downside is that you do have to do a tiny bit of questing to unlock this area. But it takes no more than 10 minutes to get to this point in the quest, so I would say that it's well worth it. The castle in Leowin has quite the extensive floor plan, as well as a ton of containers to loot from. Going into or out of the castle will also give you a load screen. So, once you've finished running all over the place, you can simply exit and re-enter to repopulate all of the containers, which is really handy since it saves you the time it would have otherwise taken to port to a friend and make your way back to the entrance of the castle. The only downside is that these containers can only be stolen from and not searched. There are so many containers to loot in the city of Gideon. Unfortunately, most of them can only be stolen from, so there is a slightly lower chance at receiving a furnishing plan than if you were able to search these containers. But there are a lot of containers to loot in a pretty confined area, so that kinda makes up for it. When I farmed for plans in Gideon, I like to visit the following places: the Gideon Courthouse, the Temple of Debella, the Governor's Mansion, and lastly, Amnis Manor. This last place is particularly nice because you can search the containers in this location, as opposed to stealing from them. If you're looking to farm some Deadlands furnishing plans for yourself, your only option really is to get them from the Deadlands themselves. They have a chance to drop from these golden chests, and they will not drop from any other source. Now of course, once you defeat the final encounter in the Deadlands, a glowing chest will appear and you'll be able to loot it for a chance at receiving treasures, gear, and furnishing plans. What many players do not know is that there's another golden chest that you can loot from in the Deadlands. In the large, ominous room before the path that leads to the final boss, you will find 4 large fiery guardians standing guard. If you quickly interact with them, they will become hostile. And if you kill all of them, this will trigger a secret encounter. If you can successfully kill this secret boss, another golden chest will spawn. You can go ahead and loot this chest for a chance at receiving a Deadlands furnishing plan as well. Shout out to SithD from my community Discord server for sharing this really neat tip with us. By running back and forth between the final boss and the secret boss, you can maximize the efficiency of your Deadlands furnishing plan farm. Otherwise, if you prefer to AFK farm, then parking your tune in this final location and checking in every once in a while to see if the event has started is probably your best bet. And if you don't want to go around playing Mount Simulator while looking for a Deadlands portal, you may not have to. If you'd like to enter the Deadlands relatively hassle-free, all you have to do is port to a player that's already in the instance. By browsing your friends list or your guilds list and spotting a player that's already in the Deadlands, you can simply use the port to player function to travel to the same instance. And that's it. I know that there aren't that many locations, but at least you have a handful of options for farming plans depending on your quest progression or how many way shrines you've unlocked on each character and what have you. I hope this video has been useful, and if I find any other great spots to farm the new Blackwood furnishing plans, I will be sure to include them in my website article on this topic. Thank you guys for watching my video and supporting my channel. I'd like to extend my thanks to those that have boosted my Discord server and those of you that have bought me coffees. I'll see you guys on Discord and in my next video. Cheers!